Hello everybody and welcome to the Nyctopluvo Halloween special. Happy Halloween guys! I figured it'd probably be cool to do some creepypasta readings today, so I got 3 creepypastas for you. One of them is one you may have heard of before, another one is one that you may have heard of but I doubt it, and the third one is completely original. It's a story written by Chaos Knight, who is also a fellow YouTuber, and he allowed me to read it for you here today. So I hope you guys enjoy, and without any further ado, here we go. Those who claim to have seen and or played the theater usually trace its origins back to around 1993, around the same time as first-person shooter PC games like Doom were first hitting the market. The game was originally designed by the now-defunct UK company Solida Software, but reportedly never passed the beta phase. Still, a few copies did apparently manage to fall into the hands of users, whether through official channels or by illicit means. The first reports of the theater to emerge from the gaming community were its massive technical glitches, particularly a bug which caused the game to freeze during installation. The only known workaround was to reboot your PC with the game's CD-ROM still inside, which would allow the installation process to continue from the point of the on-screen licensing agreement. Then all you had to do was click I agree, and you're in. The player is then shown a simple game menu featuring the functions New Game, Load Game, and Options. According to all accounts, the New Game button is the only option that would function properly. The other two would cause the PC to crash. Clicking New Game brings you to the image of an empty movie theater lobby lined with posters and a ticket taker with a creepy red smile and oversized hand standing between you and a long dark hallway. If you approach him, he will say, "Thank you. Please enjoy the movie."
Thank you. Please enjoy the movie.
And let you pass. But once you enter the dark corridor, the images start to fade to black and you find yourself back in the lobby again. While this may seem like a major flaw in the gameplay, it's only after going through the cycle multiple times that the players allegedly discovered subtle differences in the environment. Changes that go from odd and senseless to deeply unsettling. Some players have reported strange sounds while venturing down the dark corridors, and others have noticed the arrival of an additional character similar to the ticket taker, but whose face is warped into a spiral pattern. The appearance of this figure, along with accompanying audio glitches, one of which is a high-pitched scream, is said to trigger physical reaction in players, including headaches, nausea, temporary paralysis, and sensory deprivation. The ominous character, which users have nicknamed Swirly Head Man, begins to overtake the game environment, interfering with the ticket taker's actions and sometimes taking his place entirely. When he's on screen during these cycles, the ticket taker's simulated voice is highly distorted and muffled, but players have reported him to speak phrases like "never reach the other levels." Game forums have been buzzing with theories about what those other levels might be, since the game never seems to proceed beyond the endlessly repeating scenarios in the lobby, and the game tends to lock up and crash afterwards. But that's not the strangest topic of these discussions. An unsettling thread among those who have played the theater describe what happens after they stop playing. They report they have strange hallucinations, during which they claim they can see the swirly-headed man at the edge of their peripheral vision, reflections in mirrors, or in their dream. To this date, nobody has tracked down verified footage from the actual game, but interpretive designers from the gaming community have come up with amusing recreations. Hello, my name is Tom Grace, but my friends call me Tom. Like many people, I was a huge fan of the game GoldenEye 007 on the N64. It was an incredibly revolutionary title, and I recommend all of those who haven't checked it out to do so. I'm disappointed that there aren't many shooters this day and age that are in the style that GoldenEye was, so I joined a gaming forum and asked anybody if there were any games similar to GoldenEye out there gameplay-wise. One of the first games that was recommended to me was Perfect Dark, but it didn't really interest me. But what caught my eye was somebody mentioned a game series called Time Splitters. That was practically the spiritual successor to GoldenEye. I looked into the games, and Time Splitters 2 interested me the most, as the screenshots of it remind me of the glory days of playing GoldenEye, mostly in its visual style. Sadly, I didn't really have the money to blow on such a thing, so I logged off and decided that I would look for somebody who maybe would be willing to trade one of the games in my possession for Time Splitters 2. I decided to check out what I was in for, so I looked up a walkthrough of the game and watched the story mode of the game in its entirety, and it looked very impressive. At this point, I went to sleep. The next day I woke up to a headache, most likely due to morning sickness, which is not pleasant. I turned on my laptop. As my eyes slowly adjusted to the light, the familiar sight of the Windows 7 logo appeared on screen, and I waited for the PC to finish booting up. Once I was on the desktop, I opened up Chrome and checked back on the forum I had joined last night. Apparently I had a private message from somebody anonymously. It said, "I'm willing to give you something you won't forget." It sounded like spam, but curiosity got the better of me, so I opened it up. The message was pretty standard stuff for somebody looking to sell something, but something didn't look quite right. Here's a transcript of the message. "Hello, Tom. I'm in possession of a copy of Time Splitters 2, and I'm sending it to you as a gift, and as a warning." The last part particularly caught me off guard. I had absolutely no idea how a video game could serve as a warning. In fact, the obscurity of the threat is what made me laugh out loud. Who could be threatened by a video game? Another thing is that the message looked like it was sent at the same exact time I logged off. Although to be fair, it's probably just a coincidence. That's when the doorbell rang. I looked through the slot and saw it was a delivery guy, probably here to give me my mail. He had a box for me to sign off. On the box were the words Time Splitters 2 Limited Edition for the PS2 were written in Sharpie. This was odd to me for a number of reasons. 1. Usually people don't write the contents of a cardboard box on the cardboard box itself with Sharpie. And 2. If the info I got off the forum was correct, nothing called Time Splitters 2 Limited Edition existed. It was probably a mix-up on the part of the guy who sent it, so I shrugged it off. Sometimes people are just out of it when they're tired and do things by mistake, maybe even write something by mistake. I've done it, myself admittedly. I opened up the box to reveal a perfectly normal copy of Time Splitters 2 for the PlayStation 2, which for the most part confirmed my previous suspicions, that the writing on the box was simply just something the sender did absent-mindedly. I took it out of the box and opened up the case. Sure enough, there was a disc in it. I looked at it happily, mostly because if this was anything like GoldenEye, or even was just as fun as it looked in the Let's Plays, this game was going to make every moment of the next few days, or even next couple of weeks. I took out my PS2 and hooked it up to my TV, and put the disc in the disc tray. It booted up to the main menu and it seemed normal, except for the words Closed Beta Build 5 occupied the bottom left of the main menu. This struck me as odd but at the same time exciting, mainly because beta builds of games are rare, and even more for closed betas. I pressed through the main menu selecting things such as Story, Arcade, Challenge, etc. What struck me as particularly odd is that it didn't ask me for my profile name. Pokemon Ruby's beta comes to mind where the player was pre-named. I quickly went up and selected the story mode. The cutscene I saw from the finished game I saw in the walkthrough was there. In fact, it looked normal. The graphics looked just a little bit less polished, as to be expected from a beta version. It's a normal thing for developers to do so they can buff out bugs and tweak gameplay first and then work on graphics later. Once the cutscene was over, I selected the only choice I had unlocked, Siberia. It loaded up to reveal that the level for the most part looked the same as it did in the final version, a snowy military facility located near a dam. When I started up, however, I noticed a number of changes. One of them was that the cameras located around the base that spotted you, instead of making the loud, annoying squeaking noises that they usually do, a monotone voice said you'd been spotted once and then stopped. Otherwise, the cameras behaved normally. I made my way to the roof of the building where you're supposed to drop into the storage shed. I grabbed the mines inside and headed back to destroy the satellite on top of the largest building there. I was satisfied to see the satellite fly off the building and over the fence where it landed in the snow. Unlike the final game, as soon as the satellite was destroyed, I heard a loud bang. I looked to the small trench that you have to move through to get to the stairwell in advance. The door was simply destroyed. The rest of the level appeared to proceed as normal until I reached the part where you release the zombies by restarting the power. Upon inserting the item needed to restart the power, a wall slid to the side as if it were a door, revealing a passageway that was not available in the final version of the game. I walked inside and what I saw was not horribly out of place, but it was quite unnerving. I saw a large hallway that appeared to be some kind of cell block. On every side there were locked doors. Behind them were various enemies from the game. I walked through the hallway, and as I continued to walk further, the screen got darker and darker. Inside the cells, the further I got, the more desperate the characters seemed. Some of the soldiers were begging in English for me to release them. They had their weapons on the ground and were banging on the glass. Even further in, the characters weren't even alive. Some of them were mangled. Some of them were zombies. Upon the screen turning completely black, it suddenly looked normal again. Brightness-wise, anyway. It appeared to be once more from the player's perspective, albeit I had no weapons. I was in the middle of a large rectangular room. Dried blood was on the walls, tables, and surgical tools were lying all around the room, some next to the surgery table with what appeared to be corpses on them. I looked around and noticed a computer terminal in the upper right corner of the room, with a chair in front of it. I approached the chair, and my player proceeded to sit down without me pressing any buttons. Suddenly a video played. I don't mean a cutscene, I mean a live-action video. It appeared to be quite aged, but not too old. I'm guessing it was taken around 1990. On screen were two surgeons in a room eerily similar to the one my character was in. They were standing next to corpses on some sort of operating table. It was cut open and organs were visible. Some kind of large machine was hooked up directly to this creature's heart. The creature was mostly unmoving at first, but suddenly its eyes opened and it panicked. Even though it had some leathery construct holding it to the table, it tried to move about frantically. It was making loud moans and howls that sounded like the result of some terrible, terrible pain. The surgeons suddenly put down their tools and looked at the camera, and they started speaking in somewhat excited tones, but I couldn't tell what they were saying, mostly because I didn't speak Russian. Even if I did, the sounds of the creature moaning behind them drowned out most of what they were saying. It grabbed both surgeons and started viciously tearing them apart with its teeth. The surgeons fell down, clearly dead from the looks of it. They went pale and limp. The creature looked at the screen before it cut out. I thought it was over, but suddenly it cut into the view of a large facility, one that looked identical to the one in-game, except it was real. I was almost sure that whatever was going on here was staged, but that's when it flashed up on screen. Only a few moments, but it flashed up on screen several times like this. I had a chance to copy it down. Positive 70, 30, 36.87, positive 83, 4, 30.65. Even though I'm no expert on navigation, I recognize these as coordinates. After I copied the coordinates, the game shut off. A power surge occurred. Once the power came back on, I was more curious than anything, so I decided to ask my friend to check these coordinates. Luckily, they were already in Russia at this point, so I figured might as well. They immediately agreed to help me. That's the definition of dependability right there. Their agreement probably had a lot to do with me not telling them where I actually got the coordinates from. If I had told them, he'd probably brush it off and assume that I was either joking or insane, or maybe both. He told me he would message me once he got there, and we could do a voice call so that it would be easier for him to communicate and do things with his hands at the same time. It was 2 days later when I finally got the invitation to a call with him. He started off by telling me that at these coordinates there was a river and some kind of dam surrounded by a few buildings. He mentioned that it's odd considering his map did not mention such a thing. He told me that since it appeared to be abandoned, that there was probably no harm in going inside. I heard a door opening sound and then his footsteps as he maneuvered around. He told me that the buildings appeared to be completely abandoned, yet all the documents and furniture and even military equipment were still there. It's as if whoever left either did so in a hurry or did not actually care what happened to the equipment. A bit careless. He said that he found some kind of control room and one of the walls was open. He told me that further in the lights were dimmer. He slowly walked down the corridor, describing to me that the cells appeared to have human skeletons in them. He assured me that while this was grotesque, this kind of thing wasn't unusual, especially during the time of the Soviet Union. He continued walking and told me that it had gone completely dark and that he came to what felt like a door. As soon as he said that, I heard the sound of the door opening. He let out a hard chuckle. This reassured me that he knew what he was doing. He told me that the lighting in here was dimmer, but it was better than the hallway. I heard his footsteps as he apparently walked deeper into the room. Then I heard a loud moan and a howl, and then the call ended. Chapter 1. 3 weeks, 5 cases. The victims around Burroughs Field National Park all share the same cause of death. Severe head trauma, a minor bashing and denting of the brain, and a number of broken bones, lacerations, and just horribly mangled mess of human flesh. Hasn't been a case like this since Raccoon City. Chris Redfield, a former member of SARS, liked to tease with the team of rookies the horrors he experienced in the long-since destroyed city. Even with the group Chris is now affiliated with, he still finds his share of horror and the strange, but it is a rare event, an anomaly when murders like this become a habit. Chris is part of a military branch assigned to a larger clandestine organization. The military branch serves as a down-to-earth, back-to-the-basics squad that handles normal cases as well as metahumans of the large group manage everything from monsters to aliens in space. Stay sharp, Garage. This is nothing but a recon mission. Scoop up the area of the victims' locations in the grid. The trick is to find the one responsible. Plenty of people believe it is a bear. Chris knows better. The vibe is on par with the undead, even though it's not the same. Jefferson and Garage fan out. SMGs at the ready as they use their dense forestation as cover. Chris moves forward, leading the team deeper into the forest and steps over a log. He pauses, hearing a whoosh somewhere nearby. Chapter 2. Under the cover of trees, the night begins to create a gloomy atmosphere, fog setting in the distance surrounding the three-man squad. Jefferson leans against a rock, hearing a loud clicking noise, and he peeks over the boulder. He sees a long-limbed, darker than the night sky, human-like figure standing more than 10 feet away from him. It suddenly turns around, purple eyes glaring into Jefferson's soul, quickly running up and screaming loudly with its mouth open, inhumanly wide. Jefferson is struck in the face and sent flying over the head of Chris and Garrett, who prepare for an attack. At the corner of Garrett's vision, a tall, lengthy figure appears in front of him, towering over him as the night blends with him. Garrett sees only purple eyes and stares into them as if he's stuck in a trance. The eyes vanish, as did the figure. A loud blaring noise rings for several minutes. Chapter 3. Garrett prepares his weapon, but the foe acts too quickly, darting in front of him and smacking him across the face and torso. Chris hears a bone break with every hit. "Don't look at it," Chris ordered, keeping his eyes down as he went to go check on Jefferson. Garrett falls back into the thick bushes and trees to hide, watching the creature teleport far from his location and then reappear just to his left. The creature thrashes violently as it tries to reach Garrett, its body pushing past and slowly breaking trees along its way. Chris notices the heartbeat of Jefferson is steady and requires immediate medical attention. Realizing it's best to keep Jefferson secure and radios in for support, he turns around face to face, eye to eye with the creature, its mouth open widely as its entire body begins to thrash violently. Chris slowly backs up, aiming his gun to fire. Chapter 4. As time slowed down the thumping beat of his heart, beckoning for some action, Chris cooled his nerves and slowly moved back into the dense foliage and opened fire on the creature. The bullet soared past the creature, missing the creature by the fraction of the second. Chris climbed through the bushes, making sure not an inch of space was given for the creature. Trying to keep up with the creature's static motion was impossible. Chris doesn't try to keep up with it, using the loud screeching noises of the creature to get a rough pinpoint on it. Right now, the thick of the bushes and the foliage all around Chris is the key to his survival, buying time until the greater forces of his team can get his location. Slowly moving through, trying to get to his battered teammates, the black creature teleports into a small open section of the dense forest patch, landing within 10 inches near Chris. The soldier refuses to look, dependent on the creature to teleport away, but it doesn't. Something grabs Chris's left leg, the creature's lengthy hand, and yanks him from the dense bushes. Chris gets to his feet and fires point-blank range. The creature with its mouth open and blaring its horrifying sound dodges, and Chris is smacked upside the head with enough force he is sent crashing into the bushes. Well guys, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed all three of the stories that were in this video today. Special thank you to Chaos Knight for allowing me to read his story in this video today. Check out his YouTube channel. He does like Minecraft stuff and whatnot. But I figured before you guys go, I should probably plug you to some other creepy like stuff you could be like listening to or whatever on the internet. And there was this one story that I wanted to do. It's called Rosie. It's an Animal Crossing creepypasta, and I just couldn't find like a written down version online. I only found like a video reading of it, and I didn't want to just like transcribe the whole video version of it. But I'm gonna link that down in the description below. Check that out. It's very interesting. It's weird. It's a little bit silly. But me and my friends really enjoyed it because it's got some plot holes in it. I mean, all creepypastas, like especially video game ones, are generally kind of bad, but like this one, there was this one part in it where it was like, there was holes all over my town or something, and then I was just all like, holes disappear when you move to the next acre. Anyway though, there's that, and then there's also this other YouTube series. It's about a PS1 game that's like haunted or whatever. It's called Petscop. You should check that out. There are videos talking about it, but then there's also like actual gameplay that you could watch of the video itself. It's very interesting. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.